Hello everyone and welcome today. I hope you're joining me this morning to tune in. My apologies that I haven't been around for a couple of days. I'm afraid you probably can see, sadly, I have also been not very well. So like you, I have been having to do my healing, having to make Richard do his healing, and it really does work. So these are troubling times, aren't they? These are times that we all have to do something different to try and not only amuse ourselves, but we need, first of all, to thank all the people that are keeping us going, all those keynote workers, the NHS people, the doctors, the nurses, the carers, even the bin when they come and collect our bins. Anyone that is out there in that world at the moment, they're taking tremendous risks. And, you know, I haven't been too good, as I say myself, but I fought back and you can fight back. And I don't want you to have fear in your heart. So today, I thought we'd do something different. I just want to fill you in with what's been going on behind the scenes, because although I have been having to soothe my own sort of health situation, I am fighting back and have been doing my healing, and it's so important that you do your healing, because if you're quite tense and you have anxiety, it can calm that down. And I did talk to you about this the last time I did a broadcast, and this time I want to do more with you and take you to the next stage of healing. So this particular broadcast, I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can for you. But before I start, I just want to fill you in with what's been going on. I did mention that I'm trying to get a better media platform so that I can hear your voices, so that I can actually physically speak to you. And it sounds very simple, and there are various ones out there, but it is quite technical. I'm sitting here in my home. I'm not a technical savvy person, so Richard and I are trying to sort that out, because it can be difficult when there's a lot of people coming onto a media platform. But we're trying to get that done for you. So keep watching my Instagram posts, my Facebook posts, anywhere where I leave messages, because it will tell you what's going on. And I'm hoping that you'll keep joining me and supporting me. Tag in your friends, tag in everyone, share it with everybody you want, because we want to get a global healing going around the world. So I'm going to put my glasses on now so I can see you all. Before I start, there's a couple of mentions that I want to do. First of all, I want to thank my beautiful Rachel, just around the corner. She's helped me out tremendously this week. She's gone shopping for me. She's taken my dog for walks. And without her, I don't think I'd have survived this week. Bless him, Richard does the best he can, but he hasn't been too good either. So we're now fighting fit. Hopefully we're getting better and over this situation, and we want to be here for you. I want to say hello to Elaine Bucknell. She sent me a message. She's at the doctor's surgery. She's a phlebotomist. She's taking your bloods. She's still trying to keep going throughout this crisis, and she's doing a great job. She's based in Wolverhampton, and so many of you have been contacting me from around the world. Malta's been listening, Latvia's been listening, Australia are listening, America listening. Hello, Andrea. I want to say hi to Andrea in Seattle. There's so many of you. So let's keep it all going. Keep tagging your friends, and let's just try and get better. Lovely message from Liz Coyne saying that she's feeling a bit better. So
thanking you for hoping that you're feeling a bit
better.
Better.
Thank you. And for me to feel, thanks Liz. But for all of us to keep well, let's keep doing the healing. So we're going to talk about that in depth today. I also want to mention Sephora Scari. I hope I'm mentioning that. She's listening in from Malta. That's beautiful. Rupa Bhatia. I don't know where she's from. I think she's from London. She says to me that she's seeing a lot of numbers. And that's something I just want to talk about now, if that's okay. So keep your questions coming in. I'll answer as many as I possibly can. And hopefully in the next week, because we're all going to be on lockdown a lot longer by the looks of things, I'll be able to interact with you directly and hear your voice, and that will be so good. So we have to use this platform for the time being. Keep tuning in, keep watching. Okay, that's over now. Let's get to questions. I might not do a book reading today. I might just stick to the questions because there are so many of you contacting me. So I'm going to answer Rupa Bhatia, her question. She's out at work. She's a keynote worker as well. So Rupa is telling me that she sees numbers on a regular basis. Well, this is a calling from your spirits and from your angels. It is a direct sort of energy because our angels run at a higher vibration. They are connected to the universe in a different way than we are. So sometimes, it's not an easy situation to try and get across to someone that's on a different vibration. I'm sure you've felt that in this life as well. So they show us signs. And I briefly talked about signs and how the spirit world leave us feathers, leave us birds, pop in different things that happen around us. We can smell things, sometimes clocks and watches, sometimes slow down and stop. And a lot of us have experienced that. But this is something different. And when you see numbers and they're continuing to show themselves in a regular way, it's the angels that are actually trying to connect with you. It is a divine energy that's trying to connect with you. And it's a bit of a wake-up call, really, because it depends on what numbers they're actually showing. But it is connecting to that universal energy. And it's no accident that they're doing that. So I briefly mentioned that. I don't want to go into too much detail. But each number relates to a meaning. And I'm afraid I don't know all those meanings. All I know is that the energy that transfers, it's your angels trying to give you something there that's important. And, I think that I've had numbers too. And I think, for instance, 222 is a number sometimes that people see. And that is an out of balance number. Now, I'm just going to tell you a little story because when I first went to Ireland 23 years ago, I used to stay at a hotel which has now been knocked down and demolished called the Doyle Tara. And every time they put me in room 222, I would be woken up in the early hours. And Richard will explain to you many times. I used to bolt up right next to him, screaming my head off. And I could not stay in that room. We found out off the management that actually somebody committed suicide next door in the room next to us.
No, in 222.
Oh, in 222 was it? And 222 was the actual room where it happened. And they had a suicide pact. So every time I went in there, I could feel something happening. And that is an out of balance number. There are many, many other numbers. 444, for instance, is an awakening call. It's a spiritual call from your angels. So we won't go on too much about that now, but it's the highest vibration. And it's the way that they are trying to connect with us on a more teaching manner. They're trying to give us a specific mention. So we'll have to look into that a little bit more. I'm fascinated by them too. Lauda says that she's constantly seeing 1111. Well, of course, 1111 for a lot of people is an emergency number because of Tara Towers, well, not Tara Towers, the Twin Towers. And what happened there, 911 is also an emergency number, so we tend to sort of connect with that. Andrea Ginsberg, hi, wonderful to see you, love from Sydney. Thank you to all those people the other side of the world. Different time, I've got daylight outside here, you've got evening, but isn't it wonderful that we're connected together? And that is a really big thing right now. We all need each other. We need to not panic, we need to keep calm, but most of all, we have to help our health workers by staying indoors. So please do a positive thing for them and stay indoors. Right, so let me have a little look at who's down. I want to say hello to Shirley in Malta. That's beautiful, and I'm glad that she's with us as well. Now, Rich is passing me your questions. Tanya, no, I can't say the whole name, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce that, Rich? I think it's Chiomina Baltovsky. Apologies for that. My pronunciation is probably not good. I don't know where you are, Tanya, but maybe you're in the Latvia regions because Slovakia and Latvia have just had my book translated, the new book, and Hands of an Angel has just been translated over there. So hopefully you're reading it over there in Latvia and enjoying it. Is there anyone in the afterlife world looking out for me and my family? Okay, and any message. Well, of course, once we've got this new platform, I'm hoping I can speak with you and be able to give direct messages, because it's always nicer when I can actually speak to you personally. There's always people looking out for us in the spirit world. Not only do we have guides, each and every one of us, but we also have angels. We have our guardian angels. Hold on, Richard's writing things down.
She's in Melbourne.
Oh, she's in Melbourne. Hello, Melbourne. And every single person has a guardian angel and a guide. And I was explaining on the last show that our guides sometimes change if they outgrow us. So if their spirituality grows quicker than ours, they will change and you may get a new guide. But there's a lot of you that's developing spiritually, and so your guide that's been allocated to you will continue with that. If you're growing, that person will grow with you. So there's always people, and of course we have our people in the spirit world, our family in the spirit world. Hello, Mary from Ireland. Mary Murphy, hi. Our family over there love us, and of course they want to communicate. And of course in these times now, I am literally inundated with messages. People in the spirit world want to protect those that's here, and they want to tell them to be careful and all those sort of situations. Now I am able to do private sittings, and I'm doing those online, so I'm there for you with that, and I can go into detail with messages then. But in order for me to give messages live here now, I've got to set up this new platform, which we are trying to do. But I'm quite slow because I had a few days off. So we'll get there, and keep watching and keep writing down what you need to know. So it's lovely that you connected, Tanya. Keep tuning in. I'm sure I'll be able to speak with you soon. Right. Hi to Mel Walker. Hi to Geraldine from Northern Ireland. Hi to Mel Walker. Don't know where you are, Mel, but saying hi. Hi to Claire. Is that, I can't read your writing, Richard. He's a terrible writer. Okay, and hi to Lisa Hennessy. And it's just so wonderful that you're all connecting from around the world. Geraldine Finnegan asked if Hands of an Angel is the third book. No, it isn't. Hands of an Angel is the first book. If you go onto Amazon, you'll see Hands of an Angel, and you'll see the new book that I wrote a couple of years back called Beyond Boundaries. That's why there's 2 books at the moment. That's why I was over in Australia last year, because we were launching for 2 years, and we did a tour across Australia where I did lots of events, and I talked to lots and lots of people and did massive book signings over in Beyond Boundaries over in Australia. So Beyond Boundaries is the second book. Hands of an Angel explains to you how my gift started, where it all started from, how it started. Beyond Boundaries takes us into my middle years. It takes me to my growing years and how I developed and how I integrated that in my life, and also how I healed people, how I give messages, everything connected to spirit I start to talk about in more depth as an adult in Beyond Boundaries. And the third book that's coming up will be incredibly interesting. Just watch this space. There's going to be something really exciting, hopefully coming out at the end of all this COVID situation. But all of us are just hanging in there at the moment, trying to get through our daily life. So please keep following. There's always something exciting that we can talk about, and that's what I want to do. Many of you were also talking about, sadly, a very situation which is, oh bless, somebody's saying they loved having me in Australia. How beautiful. Richard, you need to keep looking at the messages.
It's come through.
Because I'm answering so many messages, we've got to keep going, Lauren Shapiro said that she loved meeting me and Richard in Sydney. Well, isn't that fantastic? I try to reach out to as many people as I possibly can. And my groups and events that I do around the world are a way of you personally having contact with me. It's not always easy, is it, to have one-to-one contact with everyone, but this gives me an ability to speak to the masses. So please, if I'm doing events, attend them. But meanwhile, we're all locked down, so let's get stuck in here. I think that the thing that really upset me quite recently is somebody messaged me and was saying, has suicide rates gone up since COVID has actually hit this world? Sadly, yes, there are people who are feeling very suicidal, and this is why I've reached out, because I feel that healing can help calm every situation down. Even if you don't believe in healing, give it a go. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes 5-10 minutes of your time. And sometimes it can calm you out of a very, very tense situation. So apart from healing the physical body, it can also help your emotional self. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And before I finish this broadcast, I will be going through a very simple healing. But let me just explain to you a little bit how I see healing work. Imagine that you have your mind, body and spirit. Well, not imagine, we do have our mind, body, spirit. Your mind is like a walking computer and it tells the physical body what to do. And our physical body is like a chemistry kit, really. So your brain says, make your thyroid work a bit harder, make this work a bit harder. Oh, there's a pain there, let's ease it. So it juggles things around and it releases things. It's incredible, the technology really that's within your own body. And we don't understand all of that. But to add on to this, we also have our energy, our soul that's connected to our spiritual self. Because we are a spiritual being on an earthly journey and not the other way around. So it's quite normal for us to connect into energy and allow the healing to flow through. I don't understand all the mathematics or the psychology or anything around that. I just know I have been doing it for years and years and years. And it's so amazing the difference that this can make. So you've got nothing to lose by doing it. Imagine then that you've also got these little funnels that are right throughout your body called chakras. Now the chakras connect into a little overcoat that goes around your body called an aura. We've heard of auras and we know that auras are like a little electric blanket around us. It provides our physical body with energy by sending the energy in through the funnels, and it also sends energy out. And I explained in the last broadcast that it's like a spiritual alarm clock, really, because how many times have you gone to hug somebody or you've met somebody for the first time and you either feel that you've known them all your life and you want to hug them, or you think, oh my God, get that person away from me. That's your spiritual alarm clock. That's your energies around you. That is your aura saying, I need to get away from this person or I need to be closer to this person. So that's the very, very, very smallest thing that it does. But it also sends energy into the body. And here around the throat is the throat chakra where we keep all of our emotions. Now 90% of everyone take their energy in through here, through the throat chakra. That's why when we get poorly, so many of us show coughs, colds, sore throats, headaches. It's all around here. That's the first thing that we see when stress hits us. It lowers our immune system and it connects in there. But there's 10% of people that take their energy in through their tummy button. I'm one of them, and there's a few of you out there as well, which means that your stomach and your lower back is your vulnerable area. And because we take the energy in through the middle of ourselves, it takes a while sometimes to show symptoms everywhere else. It'll either go upwards or it'll go downwards. So for those people, they're the kind of the donkeys of this world. They just keep going until they drop. And I'm afraid I'm one of them. So I just keep working until I drop. And poor old Boris looks like he's one of them as well. And bless him, I've been sending healing to him every night. Let's pray he comes through. So there's lots of you out there that deal with different ways of accepting healing into your body. Now for the 90% of you, when you start your healing, it will open up the throat chakra. And by doing that, oh my goodness, you will feel so emotional. Because all the stuff that you've been hanging on to, maybe it's a bereavement, maybe it's stress that you've had, maybe it's illness that you've had, suddenly your body goes, oh, thanks. And that actually starts the energy flooding through. So if you do feel a few tears when you start your healing, don't panic about it. You are healing your mind, your body and your spirit. And because your emotional self is so important, I've got a fly around here, because your emotional self is so important to your well-being, of course it's going to heal your psychological self and your emotional self as well as physical situations. So it's going to be a cure-all situation in a way. and it travels right the way through your body. And the more you do your healing, the easier it will get for you. It's like riding a bike. You know, it's a bit kind of difficult at first because we have barriers, but the more that you do it, the easier it will become. Marge Tom's in Sydney. Not
had neck and shoulder pain since her healing.
Oh, how amazing. She just sent me a message. I don't know where I saw you, Marge. Did I see you? In Sydney, so you must have seen me at one of the events. She says she's not had neck or shoulder pain since having my healing. How amazing is that? So you've got nothing to lose. Why do we suffer? You know, even our immune system listens to our healing, because what we're doing is we are creating a stillness within us. We are connecting to a higher vibration. And in doing so, and in doing that, allowing that energy to flow through, you're not only opening yourself up to healing, but you're also able to open your emotional self, like I was saying. And that in turn allows you to feel more, allows you to understand more, allows you to have that ripple effect that we all need right now. So the more of us that do this healing, the better it's going to be for the world, so to speak. Because recently they did some trials actually over in Australia, and America are really the best at this. And they actually, for 5 minutes of the morning, they actually took children, school children, and they gave them 5 minutes meditation. They called it mindfulness, but it's the same thing. Meditation every morning. And they were saying that the stats of that child, the way that that child performed was so much better. Not only were they better at doing their educational side of things and the way that they were thinking about things, but they let go of a lot of sometimes the stress that they have themselves at home. And by doing that, they were kinder towards their own friends and their own people that they came into contact with. So it has a massive effect on society. We've got nothing to lose, have we, folks? So I just want to say thank you, Marge. She says, can you add my husband to the healing list? Of course I will. Please give Richard his name and his age, please, and what he's suffering with. I can put it on the list. At 10:30 UK time every night, and I've been doing this for donkey's years, I actually go through my list of people that are on my healing list. I actually physically read them out to myself, and I try to go through, and I do the healing for around half an hour every night from 10:30. So I've been doing that for 40 years now. Please, if you want to be on that list, please join me and mention it around to as many people as you can. Tag them into this program. Maybe they'll learn something. Maybe they'll feel something. Maybe it will help them through this terrible time that we're all facing right now, because there's a lot of people on their own out there. I have Richard, bless him, and he's been stuck with me now for 3 weeks. He's not tearing his hair out. He's still in one piece. But, you know, a lot of people are on their own. A lot of elderly people are on their own. A lot of single people, young people. I was talking to my son down in Essex. He's on his own. You know, Richard has children that one girl, and her partner. They're in ICU in London at the moment. And, you know, they're seeing some terrible situations. So my love goes out to them and the amazing work that they're doing. We have stress right now. And so if your healing helps that stress, as I say, it costs nothing. And we can all do it. And we will do that at the end of this programme. Dennis Miranda. Hi from New South Wales, Australia. Hi, Dennis. Lovely. What advice would you give other mediums? I never give advice to other mediums. I don't quite know what you're talking about. Are you talking about how they work? Are you talking about them particularly? You have to be a bit more specific with your questions. It depends on what their status is, whether they are new mediums coming into work as a medium, or whether they've been long standing and they understand what work they're doing. But my basic advice would be that this is a huge responsibility. If you are giving messages to someone, it's a way that you listen to that message. You know, Sam told me years ago, Sam being my guide, of course, he told me, Helen, when you listen to a message, it's important to listen to how that person speaks to you. For instance, you might have a son outside doing something naughty. You might go, Jack, get in here. You're doing something naughty. And by the tone in your voice, he knows that you mean business. He knows you're angry. Or you could say, Jack, come on in here. So with a medium, it's very important that we're sensitive to how things are coming through to us. It's the emotion behind the message as well as the clarity of the message. So hopefully that answers a little bit of that, Dennis. And also it's the integrity as well. You know, so many people, there are a few mediums out there or people that's claiming to be spiritual who I feel really, it's in the broadest term, you know, people who are truly awakened spiritually speaking. What we want to do is help. What we want to do is reach out. And for me, particularly, ever since I've been a child, Sam has been telling me over and over again that it's reaching out that's important. It's letting you know that you are not alone and that those in spirit love you in whatever form, whether they're your family, the angels, the guides, or even your guardian angel is there to love you. So hopefully that answers that a little bit. Maybe be a bit more specific next time. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Right, Sandra Howard. Her friend's husband is critically ill, bless you, in ITU with COVID. Oh my goodness, Sandra, we're hearing more and more of this. My heart breaks for this poor person. I mean, I think the most tragic situation is that you can't follow that person into hospital. You can't hold their hand. You've got the trauma of not only knowing that that person is struggling for every breath and having intense treatment, but that also you're not with them. And so many people who have passed over are telling me how awful it's been for them to be able to not only come to terms with spirit, but also it's more a case of that they haven't said the proper goodbyes to people. So there are going to be a lot of people wanting to be able to communicate after this and during this, and I am being swamped with it. Sandra, if you give me your friend's husband's name, I will put him on my healing list and do some personal healing throughout the day for him. I just feel that the ITU people do the most amazing job. As I said, Richard's daughter is an ITU in London, so she's right in the midst of everything. And poor Wolverhampton area are having it very, very bad at the moment. We all have it, but they're having particular times. So please do give me the name and details there, how old he is, and I will put him gladly on the list. Poor love. And I think our hearts go out to you for that. Laura Miller, do you need the condition of the person to receive the healing or just names? Interesting question, and thank you for giving it to me. No, I don't. It's just that in these times of chronic illness, it is so much easier for me to have the details a little more. So because you're working blind otherwise. Obviously, when I see someone, what makes me different as the healer is that I actually see illness. You're like an onion when you lie on my couch. And as I tune in, I don't see the body, I see the actual organs of the body. And that's been going on for many, many years. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But it is, I think, more profound for the person if I have an idea of their age particularly, because I know what I'm dealing with there. You know, if I'm dealing with a 30-year-old, their response can be a lot different to a 65-year-old person or a 70-year-old person. So you have to look a little differently at that body. But no, even if I don't have the name, if I just have a Christian name even, that's fine. But there's a lot of Jacks in the world, isn't there? So to be able to send a guide out to give specific healing, to connect in with my healing, I do try to have a name and surname, and I hope that answers for you, and the general area of where they're living, because otherwise they could be, there's a lot of Jack Smiths going around. So if I just say, right, we need to tune into Jack Smith, can you imagine how many thousands that would be? So it's much easier if you give me more details. I hope that helps. Thank you for your question. We were talking about tuning in as well. I just do a general healing anyway at 10:30. So even if I haven't got your name, I will still send out energy. I do a global energy. So I just send energy out. But it's always more personal when you have those few details, because you can connect that little bit easier. Karen Williams. Hello, Karen. I think that you're in Queensland. So hello, Queensland in Australia. Thank you for staying up and watching. This is so beautiful for you. Would you love to come to Queensland? I would love to come to Queensland. It's the beautiful part of the world. I've never been to Brisbane. I've never been to Queensland. So maybe I should make that one of my...
You went to the Gold Coast?
Oh yes, I did. I went to the Gold Coast, but that was only for one day. So we have friends there and I did call there. So maybe I should make that a priority. When I travel to do events, you tend to go to the big cities, which is Sydney and Melbourne. And that's simply because the majority of Australians live there. It's like going to London. And there's only so much travelling I can do and so many expenses I can endure. Sadly, I'm one person trying to beat these expenses. And of course, now we're all faced with difficult situations with our finances. So the more you support me, the more I can do. And that is really important. But I hope to get there. And when I do, Karen, you better be there. I know that you're an amazing cook, so you better be there with the cakes ready. Tanya, will you be coming back to Melbourne? Absolutely, 100%. I hope to get back to Melbourne. My daughter, I don't know when. It's definitely not going to be this year because of the travel restrictions. I don't know when the UK is going to lift those. It's not looking particularly good until at least the end of the year, where we have free movement abroad. And who can say? It depends on how many waves of this infection we get. I've already predicted that we will have this wave. At the very beginning, I was asked, how long do we think we're going to be in lockdown? And I said to everyone, I do not think that they're going to take this lockdown off at the end of April. It's more likely going to be the end of May, beginning of June. And even then, it was incredibly optimistic. As far as travel is concerned, they may release us to travel within our own communities and our own country, but I don't think they're going to allow international travel properly until probably later on in the year. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll come up with the vaccination very, very quickly. Liz Coyne, on the morning of my mum's passing, she was just staring. I asked her what she could see. She said she was looking at the chart. Can you explain this, please? This is so funny, actually. And a lot of people, when they're about to pass, actually see spirit clearly. Recently, I lost my dear aunt, my Auntie Joan, who's mentioned in the books, actually, particularly in Hands of an Angel. You know, my cousin Debbie and my Auntie Joan, I had a lot to do in my younger years. They were more than just my cousins and my mum's sister. She was so amazing with me when I was younger, and I really loved going to see her. Recently, she was passing. She passed quite recently, a few months ago, actually. And when I went to see her, it was so funny because I walked in and she said, Helen, I have just seen your dad and he's going to take me to see the roses very shortly. And it was so uncanny because she wasn't the sort of person to really speak about spirituality a great deal. But she was so matter-of-fact about it. She said, he's going to come and take me out. Now, my auntie was bedbound. She couldn't walk. She'd been in a wheelchair for many years and she was desperately poorly. But she came across as fine. She was having, didn't she, Richard? She had the most lucid conversation with us. And I remember, you see, years ago, my mother used to actually work in a rose factory. She used to work in Bees Roses in Chester. And she used to bring roses home, obviously. So we had a back garden full of different kinds of roses. And I just thought, oh, that's uncanny. The following morning, she passed away. And it was really the last conversation I had with her. So listening to you, Liz, it sounds very much like your mum has been seeing what I call the Passover chart. Because there's so many people that pass into the spirit world. The spirits need to know who's coming. So they have their own little rotas, they have their own little way of doing things. And I actually think that she was actually seeing her name on the list. I think that she possibly was understanding that this was going to be the next phase for her. I wonder, when she was staring, did she mention anything else? Did she mention that she could see people or see any lights? Or I remember when Richard's father was passing, he said to Richard, I can see a window and they're all on the other side of the window. Everybody's waving to me. And he said this. So maybe your mum was just starting to see a glimpse of the spirit world. Please remember if you can, Liz, and see if she said anything else as well. Thank you for that comment. Right. How does your own energy get affected when healing someone with negative energy? Do you get affected? Yes, I do. And negative is a difficult thing to say. It depends on what form you consider to be negative. If you consider negative as in a person blocking energy, in other words, you can sometimes get someone that's coming for healing that says, I've come here because such and such has sent me down here and I don't really want to have this healing, but they're there with you. That to me isn't a negative. That to me is a frightened person. That to me is a person that is still needing to be shown what healing is about. I've had that so many times, and every single person, 99.9% of people, walk out of the door after seeing me and they are just blasted and they do feel something. So even those people that you consider to be fairly negative in that sense actually aren't. They just are, they have an inhibition, they're scared, they're fearful, and that's why I feel there's nothing to fear apart from fear itself. So once they get over that, they're fine. If you mean negative as in an evil person, well, thankfully, I have my lovely Richard who vets quite a few people coming to see me. And so, I don't see evil people, so to speak. I don't see people that's been in prison very often, but how would I know if they have or they haven't?
One or two
but there are one or two that slip through. And once or twice we've had situations where Sam has even come into the room.
Explain the story where the...
Can you hear, Richard?
Where you couldn't... They...
Stop the sitting.
Yeah, that's a nice story.
That's an interesting scenario, actually. When I was at my old offices, for instance, it doesn't say who's asking this question, but what is important is that Sam is always with me. You have guides that's always with you. They protect you. Even if they can't communicate to you directly, they protect you all the time. But what is amazing is that Sam is just an incredible guide. And when this person came for a sitting with me, I started with the sitting and I felt very uneasy about this. I could feel something really not quite right. Next minute, Sam was there and he just put his hands up like this. He said, stop this sitting. Ask this person please to leave. I do not want you to have anything to do with this. And it was really interesting. And of course, I did stop the sitting and the person was very upset about it. And they said, well, why are you stopping the sitting? So they got on their little hobby horse about that. And Sam turned around and said, look, the day that you stop dealing with drugs and start dishing it around, which is killing hundreds and hundreds of people, is the day that you may be able to have a sitting again. So that was that. And then we had another situation, which was a lady that came to me from years ago, and she was an auntie of these two boys, and they came through during her sitting, and I was very, very worried about them and felt that they were hiding a situation at their own home and felt that there was a form of abuse there. And I said, please, will you reach out to them? She was incredibly close to them. I'm going to cut a long story short, but she did do that, and the eldest boy broke down and said, I'm going to call her Auntie A. I'm not going to say a name. And he said, I would never tell you this, but I need to protect my brother. He said, I've been abused for many years by my father, and my brother is being abused now. Now, that case actually went to the Crown Court in Chester, and that person was sent down to court as a result of me intervening and saying this. So there's been many occasions like that. And a lot of you know that I also work on murder cases. I don't like to do them, and I only work on them when I'm approached on them. The book, actually, there's many chapters in the book that actually talks about some of the murder cases I've worked on. And when I was over in Australia, a murder case came through very, very strongly at one of my events, and that was incredible. So there's lots of times, that Spirit give us information to work with, and it's only us really that doubt sometimes their abilities. So that from a negative point of view, people really only shut their barriers off sometimes without realising it. Is that what you meant by a negative person? I'm just going to have a little drink of water, if I may. Martha McCarthy. Do you need to be looking for illness, or is this something you see all of the time? Perhaps if you pass someone on the street, would it be something you see? Yes, occasionally I do see illness when it passes me. Even on the ferry a few years back, Richard and I were sitting in the VIP lounge, and I just looked at a lady that was sitting opposite, and I said, Richard, that lady is not well. The next minute she keeled over and passed out on the floor, and she basically had a stroke, didn't she, in front of us, Richard? So yes, there's times when I see it, but I would never stop someone and just tell them. For me, it's like giving messages, really. When I'm out and I'm at a restaurant and I'm with my family, we're all having conversation around the table. You don't really notice all the other diners and their conversations and what they look like, etc. Because you're so intense with your own conversation. You don't really tune in and listen to what they're doing. But if I was to, I could see the next table and I could see the people that are sitting there and could give a description of them. And if I really listened hard enough, we'll probably hear their conversation. It's a little bit like that with me. When I'm out and about, the spirit are with me all the time. There's never really a moment when they're not. But I tend to tune out of it, so I block it myself these days. And the minute that I just look, for instance, I'm looking now, I can see Sam directly opposite me. I know, Martha, that you have many in the spirit world that are asking after you. If it's any of these people that's waiting in my kitchen right now, I would say that, bless you, you've had quite a number of bereavements quite recently. So, there are things that you have had to deal with. But yeah, so that's the way it goes. But when I'm actually dealing with somebody giving healing and I'm tuning into that particular person, then their illness becomes more apparent to me. And I pick things up sometimes that's on the very, very infancy. Nigel from Malta, if someone passes in the spirit world, are they reunited with loved ones straight away? Yes. Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, they are. Because those in spirit know what we're going through. However, there are moments when it can be such a very catastrophic situation. Something which catches people off guard. Because it's rare, but there is. And those moments, we have people in the spirit world that work as meter and greeters. And it's a little bit like the ones that's come and spoken to me. It's a little bit like sitting outside a supermarket, they tell me. They basically devote their time for however long that they want to do it, like a voluntary work, I suppose. And they meet a person and take them to where they need to be and who they need to be with. 99.9% of the time, your guardian angel brings you into this world and takes you out of the world. So that's a given. So that guardian angel delivers you to your loved ones in the spirit world. And it may be, sometimes it can be parents that come to collect children, it can be grandparents, it can be a friend, it can be someone that's connected to you deeply. And that's why so many people who are passing over often see people right at the end. They see their mum and dad and they're taking them into spirit. But for those who aren't accompanied, and they are rare that they don't have somebody with them, they are delivered to them. So everyone is never alone. Nobody's ever alone.
Please share on the Facebook listing.
Share what? I don't understand. Richard gives me messages and I don't understand. I'm just reading it. Please share this.
Yeah, what you're doing.
Of course I will.
Well, ask them to share.
Oh yes, right. See what I mean? See when he's sitting opposite me? I don't know what he's saying. Richard is asking, please, if you would share this. If you would share this live broadcast with all of your friends and tag people in and just pass it over as much as you possibly can. I rely on your support. Bridget Finnegan, my sister Kathleen has cancer. Please, can you help, please? And she says, be careful of your eyes. So I feel as though, bless, I feel that your sister, I'm going to take my eyes off here. I'm going to take my glasses off because I really want to tune into you, Bridget. And I really want to help your sister. I feel around the face area, we need to do as much help as possible for her. I will send healing to her every single night. I'll put her on my list. Please give me her name, Kathleen, and a surname if you wouldn't mind. You haven't said how long she's had this or what area she's suffering with, but I will send general healing to every part of the body, and it's really the immune system that needs lifting the most. these are terrible times that we're going through. And for those people that are suffering with cancer right now, I know a lot of their treatments are very disturbed because they can't go into hospital. So they need extra protection at this moment in time. They're not getting as much help as they really, really need. And my heart goes out to them. So of course I will put her on my immediate list, and she will be on that from this evening. Hope that helps, Bridget. Right, let's have a look what. Karen Williams. Will my sister-in-law give birth? She's just had IVF. Do you know what? I actually feel incredibly positive about this. I think sometimes when we're in our darkest despair moments, the most beautiful, beautiful angel energy comes into our lives. And I genuinely feel, Karen, in answer to your question, I do. I think this is going to be a really big positive for her. Now, we women have a very small window, don't we, of fertility. I mean, men can go on forever, I know, but we women giving birth, it has been extended over the years with IVF and different treatments that's available. But generally speaking, we have a window of opportunity, don't we, to have babies. I know that window is shrinking for her, but I genuinely feel what an amazing blessing this little angel baby coming into this world is going to be. And it's funny, you know, Karen, when I was over in Australia, I went twice. For the last 2 years, I went to Australia and did as many events as I possibly could. And on the first time I went, I actually picked a couple out of an audience. There were several of them actually, and I used to call them angel babies. I used to call them angel cakes, because the spirit world sent me these little blessings saying, this person's going to have a baby. They've been trying for so long, and this is a blessing for them. Do you know, a year later when I went back, there was 4 babies that they brought to my stand that were the newborns that they had just had. One lady said she didn't even know she was pregnant, but 2 days later after my event, she said she went and she was tested, and she was tested positive. How amazing is that? So I have little angel babies that surround. And Karen, in answer to your question, I have a very strong feeling you're going to have one too in your family. How beautiful would that be? You must let me know. She doesn't carry very easily, so she needs extra care as she's going through that. Hi to Rachel from New Zealand. Oh my goodness, this is my cruise buddy. A little while ago, last year, it was my big 6-0, which I hate telling everyone. And Rachel was actually on board a little cruise that we had. Thank you for tuning in, Rachel, and love to you across to New Zealand. Hopefully you're all safe and keeping well. So big loves to you. Evelyn Mason, why are there so many lost souls who don't seem to know where to go? Don't quite understand what you mean by that, because most people do know where to go. However, there are lost souls who are displaced because of war, because of trauma, because of accidents. So if that's what you're referring to, I think you have a point there. You know, Sam has explained to me many times that quite often it's like a form of disorientation, really, because you imagine if you've been killed in a car accident, or you're shot dead because of war, or you're in a terrible situation. Even COVID is an emergency situation where you're here in 1 minute, snatched into the spirit world the next. When that person passes into the spirit world, I think I'd use the word displaced, really, rather than lost, because they're not lost. They have people there who are always trying to guide them. However, there is a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of people who pass into the spirit world, and for a good while, they don't want to go to the light, the proper spirit world, as I call it. They want to be with us. And so for a good while, they're toing and froing. They can be sometimes hanging around our homes. They can be with us for a long period of time. And that's entirely different than a soul coming in to come and communicate to us. A spirit soul that's ascended into the spirit world who just wants to come and give a message. These very, very tiny percentage of people are people who don't want to ascend into the spirit world, who still want to be alive and want to directly connect. And, you know, there's a tiny percentage of that, but they're so rare. And, you know, on the scheme of things, we had a room full of people, of maybe 1,000 people. You'd be lucky to get one person that was like that. So it's rare. There's millions of us that pass into the spirit world. So I don't like to call them lost souls. I like to call them undirected souls or misdirected. And, you know, quite often a guide will direct them towards the light and they will go. Sometimes people have people hanging around their houses, actually, and I've done this more than one occasion, ask them to do a cleanse on the house, light a little candle, say a prayer, and ask them to go to the light. It's simply they hang around because it's what they know and they're not moving forward into the spirit world properly. So kind of like a middle ground, so to speak. Linda, has my lovely granddad got on any advice for me? Hi Linda, these are tough times. Linda Sackett, hello. I'm going to send you a big kiss. Mwah. Yes, your granddad, you know, I think I've met Linda once before, well, many times before, Linda, at groups. So I know Linda's family quite well in the spirit world. And your lovely granddad is a very, very intelligent man. He's saying how tough it's going to be financially for certain people. And although the world will bounce back because it's a recession that's not like a financial recession as we would really traditionally know it, this is a crisis situation which has stopped us all in our tracks, and we'll have to kind of reignite and start up a little later on. There are going to be people who are hit by this badly because their businesses and their lives can't sustain the lack of finances indefinite. Now, most of us may be able to get through a week of not being able to pay bills, and I'm struggling too, so we're all like that. But I think your granddad is warning you about this and asking you to make preparation for it. You know, some of us who are reaching that tender age where we're coming towards maybe more retirement age, may take an earlier retirement, may decide to sell a home, may decide to liquidate certain things to be able to put the finances back together a bit and give us that little bit of flexibility. This is something you'll have to look at. But your granddad's so proud of you. I know that you're a health worker and you're a hospital worker yourself, and he is incredibly proud of you. So he's always by your side. So it would mainly be about finances that he would want to discuss with you, Linda. Hope that helps a little. I want to send Jack all your granddad's love, and he's sending special healing for him. So that's rather lovely too. And he's putting his hand on his chest when he does this. So it's to do with the breathing. Hope that helps. Wendy, now I'm going to say the surname, but please excuse me if I'm saying it wrong. Wendy Owalach. You threw me when I visited you in Melbourne, and you picked up that I have an autoimmune disease. So I write this to provide validation for your audience. Oh, isn't that amazing, Wendy? I think that sometimes when, you know, there was a lady before that said, do you see illness? Well, when I was at the events, I had a stand, and because I was so tuned in, it was like a moving corridor of people, and I just kick in to what I can see around. It's like giving a message.
5 minutes
with 5 minutes with someone, it changes their life. And Richard actually said it was like firing bullets. I never had a breather between. And if Wendy was there, you would know, wouldn't you, Wendy, that there was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of people coming to see me, and I was just firing them off. I don't think about what I say, I just say it. Your guide knows you, your family know you in spirit, so they look after you. An autoimmune disease is a difficult disease to balance. I have it myself. That's why it hit me quite hard the last few days. But you know, that's why it's incredibly important that we all do healing. It calms everything down. It calms the immune system down. And by switching off, it allows your physical body to recover, to be able to have that extra energy. So Wendy, please do your healing. It's most important. I would like you to do that, please. Right, Marge Toms in Sydney. You've given me that one. That's Marge telling me she's not had any neck or shoulder pain since I saw her. Gwen, I can't say the surname. I think it's Paternoster. It has been 24 years since my grandfather passed away. I've been trained as a shaman for the last 20 years now. I can connect to many spirits, but I was only able to connect to my grandfather twice. I can't understand that. I can. Let me explain to you. Okay. As a medium and a healer, for those that's close to me, I tend to sometimes, because I like validation too, I tend to vet everything that I see for my family. It's incredibly difficult for me to give a message to my family members. I can do it, and I can see very clearly for them, but I choose sometimes to hold back, and that's because they're my nearest and dearest. I don't want to offend them. I don't want to upset them. Whereas people who are coming to me in a professional manner, they're asking for my help. They're asking for me to give direction, and I don't know them, so therefore I'm able to free flow. I'm able to give, and for the spirit world to pass their messages through, almost like a sieve, and just pass it out to you. So when we're dealing with people who are not personal to us, the thing is, Gwen, we don't put any barriers up ourselves. But when you're dealing with your nearest and dearest, or you're trying to tune into your nearest and dearest, we tend to put our own barriers up. It's because we're just cross-examining everything. You know, you're probably like me. You know, it's hard for me to accept that I had a gift when I was younger. I didn't really want it, but it's like breathing. You can't stop, can you? It's natural, so I have to do it. So giving messages to my family was always difficult. And I remember telling my mother when I was 11 years of age that my father was going to die age 50. Now, I thought that was going to be a great warning for her, and that she would listen and that she would do something about it. That's the only reason why I gave it. Instead of which, she blew up like a bottle of pop, and she said, "Don't you ever talk about this ever again. I never want to hear you say it again." My father died at 50. He died of lung problems, emphysema, and complicated lung problems. So I can see things, and of course I can see things for my family. But because I'm mum, or because I'm auntie, or because I'm a friend, you know, people get offended if you tell them the truth. People do. So I tend to hold back with family.
I think the question's more why doesn't she see remorse? But you've only ever seen your own mother a couple of times.
Yeah, Richard's putting in, I don't know if you can hear him chunnering in the background. I think your questioning here is why you don't see your own parents more and your own family. I asked that same question. Now, I have seen my father and my mother on quite a few occasions, but not as often, not very many times. So I think it's the same for you. And I think it's genuinely down to the fact that you are vibrating at a certain level, because we're vibrating at a higher frequency. So we can visit everything underneath us, but those that are lower than us and their vibrations can't visit us so easy. So it's like tuning into a radio set, isn't it? It's got all the conditions have got to be right. So I wouldn't give up on that, Gwen. I think they definitely are around you, and I definitely think that they will connect. But it may be a little more sparse than other things that come through for you. So hopefully that explains that for you a little more. Kathy O'Brien. My father is I can't read Richard's writing it. My father is in spirit. We didn't put his in spirit, and has come through in full
form.
Maybe you should speak this because I can't read your writing. To visit my mother before special occasions in her life. Would this mean that she's very spiritually aware of herself? Have I said that question right, Richard? Yeah. Okay. Has come through in full form. That's wonderful. How amazing is that? So your mum has actually seen everything. That's great. Would this mean she's spiritually aware? Possibly, but it could just mean that those in spirit love her so much that they have made a special effort to connect through. I think that the way that your mum probably works is she's open. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she is incredibly spiritual, that will be giving messages out, that can do all of that. What it means is that her barriers are down, that she's spiritually open and aware to be able to allow the spirit world to communicate when they need to. And I think it's so amazing that she's seen in full form. So she has to have some sort of developed ability, but either she uses it professionally or she doesn't. But she knows, and she has this understanding of the spirit world. And many of us have that. Many of us sense that. You know, so many times the spirit will try to directly communicate to us when we're sleeping sometimes, because they wake us up sometimes and we think, gosh, have we imagined that, or have they actually been talking to us? Because we're using a different conscious level. So your mum, to be able to get that through, has to be quite attuned to the spirit world. And I'd say probably she has a slight gift herself, actually.
So how come then that she sees so
clearly,
and then the other lady who's a shaman
can't
Cards.
Like I said.
For a loved one.
Yes.
For a loved one. So what's the difference?
Because the shaman, the lady that was dealing like myself in a professional manner, will be higher tuned in. She'll be tuning into a higher vibration. And so her conscious level is tuned into a higher conscious level of giving out spirituality. And if her family, it's like tuning into a radio set. So if her family aren't tuned in on that day to what she's doing, it's going to be pretty tough for them. They have to ascend to her level. I hope that makes sense. Whereas it sounds like the family in the spirit world for you, Kathy, are tuned into the same level. It's like tuning into a radio set and getting it all right. How beautiful is that? And I must add to that, your guide's here talking to me at the moment, Kathy, and says that white butterflies are incredibly important to you and that you must look out for them. I think the spirit world are trying to give you a beautiful sign that they're actually with you, that those in spirit are loving you. And we put it down to coincidence when we see these things, don't we? But this is more than coincidence, because when I mention signs, that it's things that catch your eye, things that shouldn't be in the place that they are or have the effect that it does in your surroundings. So it's out of context, really. And it's also about synchronicity too. Sometimes you bump into people or know that somebody's going to contact you and the phone rings the next minute and it's whoever you were thinking of. So there is a certain amount of energy and synchronicity to us all as well, which is so important. There is so much to talk about. Right, Lisa Hennessy. Does my mum have a message for her daughters? Mums always have messages for their daughters, and like I was saying, Lisa, I hope that the media platform I'm going to get very shortly will enable me to hear your voice and be able to connect with you on a better level. That goes generally to everyone. But in answer to your question, mums love their daughters and they're always with them. And particularly your mum is talking about a Thursday being incredibly important to her passing, or when she was actually poorly. So it's a vivid day for her in some way. We'll have to look into that. But I do think that because we're all going through this crisis moment now, so many people in the spirit world want to come and communicate, and they want to give their personal messages. Your mum's quite a private person, so I'm afraid that would have to be on a one-to-one level for you. She's not good at discussing things in public. So in her words, she doesn't air a public washing. So there we go. So I'm afraid you're stuck with that. That's your mum. And also, like I say, this platform is for answering questions at the moment, and I'll do my best. But for personal messages, I really do need to be more in contact with you and speaking to you on a more direct level. That's why we're going to try and get this new media platform working by next week. So keep looking at my website, keep looking at my Facebook page, on my official page, because I'll be launching it on there. I'll be telling everyone when it's on. Somebody's saying, Helen Jones, does spirituality and the abilities of spirituality usually run in the family? Interestingly, they do. And it's interesting because although my mother blocked hers out, my grandmother was incredibly gifted, and we talked about spirituality. And ever since I was a child, she would be the person that I would turn to discuss about spiritual things, because my earliest recollection was seeing cats and dogs in her house that were in spirit. And she used to have logical Fred that I didn't know about. It was well before my time. And I remember seeing Fred, and I discussed Fred the lodger with her. So my nan I was able to open up and discuss about. My mother never used to want to know it, mainly because it was her daughter with this spiritual gift. But I do genuinely believe that it does tend to run in families. But in answer to the question as well, we all have spirituality. Each and every one of us is profoundly able to feel things. Because our aura already gives us that spiritual alarm clock, like I was saying, to whether you like somebody immediately or whether you don't like them immediately. That already sort of gives you the intuition and allows you to feel that on a sort of quick level. But also getting messages wise, a lot of people don't so much get messages like I would, but they definitely get premonitions. And so many people, when they're tuned into their spirituality, so many people tell me that they can feel their grandmother telling them a message, and then it happens. So they do try to warn us as best they can, the spirit world, and they do try to connect with us as directly as they possibly can as well. Megan Hennessy, is my sister at peace in heaven? Absolutely, 100% now. There is so much help in the spirit world. There's far more help than we have here. And that's what the spirit will sometimes say, and that's why they try to reach out to us here, and they try to connect with us and give us messages, because we miss those we love, and we need to know that they're safe and well. So peace in heaven, yes, and I consider heaven to be where we live in spirit. So I hope she'll communicate for you and give you some beautiful messages in the future. And let's hope we can do that. Let's hope we can get this new platform working. I'm not very tech-minded, so I need to try and get Richard onto it to try and work it out. But we will work it out eventually. Misha Lina, hello from New York. Hello, New York. That's a place I really want to go to. So come on, New York, connect together and try and get me over there very soon.
Well, we nearly got there.
We nearly got there. I almost got to New York with the clients, and that was really... I would have just loved it, but who knows, maybe I'll be able to get over there in the future. Keep connecting, keep joining, mention it around New York as much as you possibly can. Who knows, as soon as we're out of lockdown.
They need a special prayer right now, don't they?
They do need a special prayer right now. Poor New York people, you are having it so hard. I mean, London and Birmingham and various parts of our country here are having it really tough at the moment, but you New Yorkers, and particularly in parts of America, my heart bleeds for you. It breaks for you, because you have an awful lot to be dealing with at the moment, and it's so tragic, the amount of people who are passing over. And really what gets me every day, I had a cry with Sam this morning, my guide, because he was bringing people to me that's recently passed, and I haven't experienced this since 9/11. I haven't experienced this sense of awesome, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching sadness from the spirit world of people who are passing in their droves. So New York, I'm going to say a special prayer for you as well this evening, as in globally across the world. And that's why it's so important that we all connect together. If I don't have time to do the healing, which I'm hoping that I will do with you before we finish, because I'm probably going on too long, am I? Let's have a look. Oh no, we're okay. Jackie Fletcher, hi from Sydney. Hello, Jackie. Nice that you're here. Put some questions forward for next time. Wendy Donahue, hello, my darling. You've told my grandson he's my angel child. What does that mean? Well, like I was explaining, there are children sometimes that's sent here who are special children. They've been waited a long time to come to this earth. And I'll talk about that more in depth on the next occasion. But they're blessed children. They're children that bring us great joy that we've waited for sometimes for a long, long time. So I'll talk about that on the next visit. Please bring that up with me, because that is most important, that question. It's quite a long one to answer. David McGuinness, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better after your absent healing. There you go. Thank you, David, for saying that. That's really lovely that you're endorsing that. How long did it take you, David? A few minutes? It's really good. And we forget that sometimes we need that quiet time. We need that time that this brain, this computer, has a bit of time out. It's like switching our phones off for 5 minutes and nothing is interfering. And just that stillness and being able to connect with your energy, it enables your body to just breathe and take in the energy. Look at the way the world is right now. We haven't been running around in our cars. We haven't been polluting our atmospheres. Look what's happened over the last 3 weeks in our own world. Look how pollution has literally become so much easier. Look how, there's things that's cleaning its atmosphere up. Look how the world is breathing because we're giving it time out. What we're doing with healing is giving ourselves permission to have a tiny bit of time out and allow the energies to come back within us so that we can be stronger. And it's the same for the world. The world also needs that healing energy. And now more than ever, we see it, don't we? So when we come out of this lockdown, let's not all go back to the way things used to be. Let's make some changes. Even if you think you can't make changes, you can. You can make those changes. We can make changes by simple things, by not buying so much consumer situations, by restricting ourselves that little bit more and helping our planet and our environment as well as ourselves. So thank you, David, for saying that. That means a great deal to me. Now, we're coming to the end of the broadcast for today. I will be doing another one. Teresa Spenceley has sent a message, and so has Karen again. When will my life improve due to finances? I think we're all in this lockdown together, my darling, and that is a question I will answer for you next time. But for now, just know that every single person on this planet, I think, apart from whoever might be multi-millionaires, and even they've probably got their little setbacks right now, we are all affected by our finances right now. We have to just try and survive right now. They will improve. And it's, you know something, finances are the easiest thing to improve because we can work. And when we work, we obtain money, and money provides an opportunity then to feed ourselves and pay the bills. So it's a matter of us working hard to get out of this. But what is important is that we have the health to do it. So we're going to end now, and I'm going to do that very, very tiny mini healing sitting with you now. It's only going to take about 5 minutes now to do, and I want you to all do it with me. We did it at the last one. David's actually testament to that, because a lot of people have been saying to me that they don't know how to meditate. They don't know if they're doing it properly. Their mind goes crazy when they do it. How can they do it? So I've devised a very simple way for you to start getting into meditation. And it's very easy, because what I'm going to ask you to do is switch off from the day-to-day things and switch into your unconscious mind. And we do that because our unconscious mind remembers everything about us. It remembers when we were younger, it remembers when we got married, it remembers when we had babies, it remembers when we were on holiday, it remembers everything, it even remembers what you've eaten. So it remembers things about us. Now, not only does it remember things about you, but it also remembers how to heal you. And even though our body changes over a period of time when we become older and we have illnesses, this can sometimes be a situation that your body needs, because it needs to level things out. So we're going to do that now, and then each and every one of you can practice it at home, and you can come on and you can tell me how you get on. So I'm going to take my glasses off. You can see my poor eyes because
so many questions in.
There's so many questions coming in. But I'm going to do another one. I'm going to desperately try for tomorrow, but my throat is still quite bad, so it depends on how
Are we doing tomorrow or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do tomorrow. So join me tomorrow and I'll be able to answer the questions that's flooding in. Let's start with the healing now. So we've been talking, and I've been answering your questions. I'm going to decharge with you now. So just wherever you're sitting right now, I want you to take a big deep breath in. And you, Richard, take a big deep breath in through your nose and let it go out of your mouth. When you take the big deep breath in through your nose, I want you to concentrate on bringing in new energy into your body and letting it flow, all the used energy, let it flow out. So consciously, I want you to think like you're doing an exchange of energy. You're breathing in new energy, breathing out the old. Even though we're physically just breathing, it's connecting your brain into the way that the healing pattern is going to go. So here we go, and I'm going to talk you through it. Take just 2 minutes. Okay, and I need this too. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through your nose. Hold it. And let go all the stress out through your mouth. Again, breathe in. Hold it. And breathe out through your mouth. Again, in. Hold it. And breathe out. Right. In your mind now, I want you to picture, with your eyes closed, as though you have a big, thick, heavy book in front of you. It's leather bound and it's very heavy. And on the front of that book, I want you to clearly see that it says that it's a book about your life. I want you to imagine that you're opening this book up, this big heavy book, you're opening it up, and there's pages within it, and each page represents a day of your life. I want you to flick those pages back. Flick them back for as much as you have to until you remember a day in your mind that made you feel absolutely wonderful. Remember whether it made you feel healthy and happy. Try and remember the last time that you felt really, really energized, that you felt really good with yourself. Even if you have to go back long, long way, think about it now for me. I have mine. Do you have yours? This memory, no matter what you've jumped to, I want you to call this now and title it your safe day. Remember those words. This memory is your safe memory. And for whatever reason that you're thinking about that particular day, don't worry about it. But I want you to remember it for me. Remember who you were with or whether you were on your own. Remember what you were doing and how old you were. Remember where you were. Remember what time of year it was. Remember every little detail you possibly can, and each time you think about this safe day, try and remember more and more and more about this day, because your memory has pulled this day up for a reason. So, not only are you being reminded how you felt that day and how you looked that day and who you were with that day, but your body is also being reminded what was released into your body to create that feeling of that day, your emotional self of that day, and how your body organs were performing and how you felt. So your brain is now sending a computer printout, if you like, to your body right now, and it's saying, has anything changed here, guys? What's happening that's different right now to what it used to be in the past? And it's balancing things up and it's changing things within you. So even though we change on the outside and we become older, your brain is capable of releasing various glands in your body and various chemicals into your body to be able to create a balance. Now what we're going to do is energize that healing to be able to implement these changes in your body. Think about that day again for me. Take a big deep breath in and hold it and breathe out. Again, in and hold it and breathe out. Breathe in again, hold it and breathe out. Slowly now, I want you to open your eyes. Good. Now, all of you, before you forget, I want you to write down what was your special time. What was your safe moment? What was yours, Richard? Come on, were you doing it properly? So what was yours? What was it?
It's private.
Mine was my wedding day. So I went back to my wedding day, and that was my special time. And I was actually my second time around with Richard, so I'm sure I was not young, I was 30. And so I felt at my peak, I felt good, and I reminded my body how I want to feel. And I have used this analogy to start my healing off, because what it does, it enables you to switch off from the daily conscious routines and switch into your unconscious memory. And your unconscious memory remembers everything about you. It even remembers how your body works and what it should be releasing. So just try it. You've got nothing to lose. I mean, what does it take? A few moments. It didn't take anything, did it? And gradually, as you get better at meditating, you'll want to progress deeper. You'll want to do more. You can put music on eventually. You can do it for a bit longer, and you can meditate on maybe questions that you have and you need answers for. There are many things that you can do, and I could take you through many different levels of meditational healing. But this is its simplest form. And this, for some people that's never done it before, can be the very, very starting process for them. It's simple. It's easy to do. There's no excuse. 5 minutes of your time. Didn't really take long, did it? I want to say thank you so much for all of you joining me today. Please spread it around to all your friends, all your family friends, anyone, share these posts. I'm going to be sharing it on my personal account and it will be on my official account. But all my work that I'm doing will be on my official account. So watch out for it. Join me there. You'll be able to see what I'm doing next. There are going to be some exciting things that we can do. So keep a watch. You don't want to miss out. You want to be part of it. And if I manage to get this new media situation going and it can sustain the platform where I can speak with you, I'll be able to give messages very soon. So watch out, look for it. Ask everyone to join me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @HelenTheHealer. My Instagram account is just under my name, Helen Parry Jones. You'll see my face. Just click on and join me there. And my Facebook, my official Facebook page is Helen Parry Jones, and you will see that too. Thank you, Oz, for joining in from Australia. My beautiful Oz, Phoenix, my friend. I can just put my glasses on so I can see lots of you. Daithi, I think I'm saying, Kathy, Misha, thank you all for joining. Please join me again. I will be here at 12 noon tomorrow. Please keep looking at the Facebook to see what's going on. My love to you all. Stay in, stay well, and keep doing your healing. Lots of love to you all. Bye for now.
It's good, isn't it?